just born and raised, it's plain to see. This is how we roll UP. I got stories, let me tell it. Bow and arrow and a dope-ass mullet. Take one shot, that's all it took, son. When I fish, it takes one hook, son. Hunt big game.
All right, welcome back to You Gotta Want It podcast, episode 17. Today is June 9th and has been a spring for the ages. Turkey season 2026 has officially wrapped up about a week and a half ago, end of May. And like always, it flew by. But today I'm going to discuss how Seeing Red 4 went and get into a little detail about each hunt and how those ended up. We'll talk a little bit about a couple other things and we'll get out of here tonight. But yeah, the Seeing Red crew and I punched 7 total tags this year, and that was our most we've ever punched in a season. And first one was way back, seems like forever ago, second week of April, in the youth season in Wisconsin. Why I was behind the gun for that. That video is the first episode of the Seeing Red 4 series. That's up on the YouTube channel. But that was an action-packed day. I might have talked a little bit about it in the previous episode, but I can't recall. 16 plus hours from waking up and getting home that day. But an awesome day, to say the least. We had more action in one day than I'd say some people get in a whole season. But Wyatt ended up knocking a really nice one down towards 6 o'clock that night. And that was a really cool hunt. So then we headed back to Michigan for the opener the weekend after that. And opening day was probably the worst ever. It was a dud. It was really cold and windy, and the birds were really not talking. And to add to that, the public was pretty pressured as well. Couldn't hunt the whole day that day, so made it back for the afternoon hunt and didn't really get on anything. So we were birdless going in the Sunday morning, and we were back at it. But we were back at it though, and found one mid-morning, and I punched my first tag of the year. Pretty interesting hunt. Had to make a decision pretty quick if I wanted to try and have a chance at these birds that were across the field on private. And I tried it years past, but couldn't get them across. But we noticed that there was a tom whale getting pushed by another Jake and a tom, and they were trying to cross the road a couple times, but then they got pushed out in the middle of the field a little bit. So I decided to give it a try. There's nothing else really working that morning yet, so yeah, that video is up on the channel as well, and he ends up coming over and end up knocking him down about 9 o'clock. So on the April 25th weekend, CJ, met back up with CJ, and he was behind the gun, and we were back on the public and had a pretty awesome hunt, calling a tom through the pines right to us. About 7 o'clock, I think that was. We were on a couple times earlier we were on a couple times earlier right off the roost, but they stayed on the private and went way back into some public and ended up finding a bird, and worked out for us. So CJ got his first public bird down. So now we're in the first weekend of May. That's usually our work bee / turkey weekend at Camp Jeb. And I thought I was going to have my dad behind the gun, but he couldn't make it, so Eric decided to get a tag, and glad he did, because we had another great hunt and ended up getting on them in the back of the property around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I believe. There was one we were on right off the roost, but he ended up having a hen, so we just started walking in the back and got one to strike off. Ended up being 5 toms with a couple hens that we found out after the hunt. We ended up pulling a tom away from the group. There ended up being 5 of them, and Eric knocked on his first gobbler. So that video, we'll get that posted early next spring probably. So we'll get that video posted probably end of March, early April next year. Quick little hunt, about 6 minutes long, I believe. So really cool experience. So back-to-back weekends, we were done by about 9 o'clock, I'd say, on Saturday morning. And the rest of the weekend was spent doing some stuff at camp, cutting split wood, working on tree stands, and planning some locations for water holes. And that was about it for that weekend. So then we're at May 9th and 10th, I believe. That weekend, I was back in the turkey woods with Adam. He was behind the gun, and we hunted at his camp and got a ton of footage that Saturday morning. We got in pretty tight with the group, and they all pitched right into the plot we were sitting on. And there was a couple opportunities to take a shot at the big gobbler, but the one time the tom was way to the right, and he would have had to swing the gun a bit, and that was about 35 yards. But we got everything we wanted in that turkey hunt that morning, except packing out that gobbler. But really cool hunt. A lot of footage, like I said, and really cool to watch him pitch down right in front of us, about 60 yards. And then Sunday morning we went back out, and it wasn't very eventful. Called in a couple jakes, but they did not roost on the same spot, and it seemed like those birds have such a daily pattern that we would not be able to break that up and come our way. And they went off, and they ended up going off onto a different property, so that was about it for us that day. It was a interesting, stubborn group of birds, but we had our chance at them Saturday, so that's all we can really ask for. So that brings us to the last 2 weekends of the season, and that meant it was Wisconsin time. So Adam and I took off Friday the 15th, and glad we did because we had another great day of hunting. Adam knocked a nice one down mid-morning, and we could have doubled up if we really wanted to, but I wasn't sure Adam was on him when I gave him the camera after he shot. Looking back on the film, could have probably shot. He was on him a little bit for a couple seconds, but ended up working out anyway with another awesome hunt in the afternoon, about noon. I ended up filming my tag at a different spot on a really nice gobbler, and that video of that will be posted next spring as well. It's a really cool hunt. Ended up pulling him all the way across the cornfield, I guess you'd call it. They tilled it this year already, but ended up pulling him across by himself and point blank. It's really cool. He's right next to us, pretty much 12 yards, I'd say, and yeah, he doesn't get a chance to leave. So yeah, Memorial Day fell early this year, so Friday, May 22nd, I set out by myself, a little solo mission to fill my last tag before the weekend, and that was a really slow start to that day. I started in a new spot to try to muster something up, I'd say, and without going to the good spots, because Saturday B-Dog was able to hunt, and Adam was going to be with as well too, so want to save the better spots for B-Dog and not burn them out. I ended up burning through pretty much all the spots by about 10 a.m. Decided I'll check one more field and head home. Yeah, it was getting hot, and I figured we had all weekend to knock a couple down, so wasn't really too upset about not getting one. But drove past the field and saw a black spot the way back, and I was like, "There's no way that's a turkey." And I got past a patch of woods and could see him again, and sure, he was just standing there and unstrutted, and nice tom. So just wasn't much woods to work with, and I wasn't sure what he was going to do, so I decided to watch him for a couple minutes and grabbed all the gear and headed in. When I watched him for a couple minutes, he just kind of stood in that area and pecked a little bit, so he wasn't really moving too much, and figured I'd have a little bit of time to get everything situated once I got in there. But there was just enough of a rise in that field between me and him once I got through that woods and to the field edge where we couldn't see each other. But I decided not to sneak out there and get that decoy set up, knowing I didn't know how much he could see and where exactly he was, so I just decided not to put a decoy on it. I was going to do a hen, if anything, but ended up working out. After about 20 minutes, he worked over that rise and drifted about 40 yards to the left, and I didn't have a shot. So if you watch the video, I ended up scratching a little bit and doing a couple soft yelps, and he ended up walking right toward me, and I smacked him about 20 yards. So really cool hunt. I've had so many of those hunts where you decide no decoy, and he gets in that 60-yard-ish bubble and stops and scans and, putts off. But especially in the open field like that, I didn't think he'd give me that second chance like that with no decoy. But I think because the woods was so thick behind me that helped me, and he kind of thought that hen was just on the edge pecking. That got him curious enough to walk down the edge right to me. So, but in the video you can hear him putt at about 40 yards right before he drifts off to the left. So I didn't think he'd come back. I thought he was just going to hang up in that corner of that point, I guess, that wood line. But that was episode 5 and the last one of Seeing Red 4. So if you want to take a look at that one's up as well. It was a pretty good one to end a year on. We hunted Saturday, and it was not good at all. Birds were not fired up. It was kind of a gloomy, cloudy day. Called in a pack of 8 jakes, and that was about it. So no one can hunt Sunday. So Monday I met up with Adam, and the turkeys were back to normal, hammering all morning. I had a couple early encounters, had one off the roost, by himself, and he was kind of working towards us really slowly in the field, and all of a sudden a hen went off past him, and he turned around and went the other way, so it was hard to compete with a real hen. Then we ended up getting back on him later in the morning, and he skirted us again. But we had one final chance about 10 a.m. I said, let's go check one more spot just down the road. There's been birds there every time, it seems like, when we checked it over the last 2 weekends. So saw Big Tom working towards the road and heading down to the piece that we could hunt. And we knew he was going to end up there because of seeing the birds the last couple weekends crossing the road right there. So we decided to run in there and set up, and did a couple calls after about 10 minutes of nothing, and we were just kind of sitting there talking and checking the woods behind us, and all of a sudden I look up and see that big white head about 50 yards coming down the edge of the field, and I put the decoy off to the right, so if he did hang up, he'd hang up kind of within range, I'd guess. And yeah, he worked in really slowly, strutted, took a couple steps every 5 seconds or so, and got to about 35 yards, and then he unstrutted, and I figured the gig was up, but he just stood there, and Adam said, should I shoot? And I figured it was about 35 yards, and I said, yeah, go ahead. And he just cleared the brush, and then he shot, and the gun went off, and the big boy just kept flying away. So that was pretty devastating blow at the end of the year. But yeah, Seeing Red 4, heck of a season. So that's a wrap on Seeing Red 4. 11 total days in the turkey woods, 7 kills on camera, and then 9 of the 11 days we had an opportunity to at least get a shot at a bird. So I would say a season for the ages, and it'll probably be hard to top, but we're going to try each year coming up here. So that's Seeing Red 4 wrap up. So now we'll talk a little bit about what else we got going on. Going to try to get some fishing in this summer more than usual. Try to get on some smallmouth again. Maybe hopefully get a video or 2 of that. And maybe do whatever else fishing that comes up. But other than that, got to get the trail cams soaking and the plot sprayed, and get those ready for planting late July, early August. We got 3 water holes put in May, and I'll have to fill those up a couple times this summer. Those are going to be fun to see how much those deer use those, but there was already some tracks last week when I went up there from the first 2 weeks them being there, but they're going to be a little shy at first, but they should get used to the water holes, and should be a good spot come fall. So we got summer prep to get ready for deer season. We're also heading back out to Missouri this fall, and we start hunting November 7th, and some say that's the best day to be in the deer woods, and we'll be perched up in the Missouri woods waiting for Mr. Big to show up again this year. So that's really exciting. Already getting pictures from John, our guide, of some big ones already. It's crazy how far ahead they are compared to up here in the Michigan woods. But last thing I got is bear tag, possibly. Hopefully fall bear tag. I applied for first season in my area. Had 8 points, which should get me that tag, but you never know. It looked like 7 to 8 points last year was the ticket for first season. So haven't hunted a bear in Michigan in over 15 years, so decided this year would be a good year to pull the trigger. And since we got no trips planned till November, so I'll have all of September to get some hunts in on that. And so it's going to be a pretty busy end of the summer if that's the case, and a pricey one to say the least. Stock up on the bait, and then all the driving to and from the spots to get those going three weeks or so in advance. So, and then you gotta probably end up baiting a couple times a week, but not sure how many spots I'm going to do yet. Probably for sure 2 at least, and but right now just gotta hope that we draw. I think the draw results are June 22nd, so coming up here pretty soon. So yeah, Seeing Red 4 wrap up, some summer plans, fishing plans, fall plans. Just super happy on how the spring season went. Got every kill on camera, and that's pretty hard to do. You never know what's going to happen, and just really impressed that the guys and I were able to get that done. And we got 2 more videos coming up for next early spring before we start Seeing Red 5, so that's going to be exciting. But yeah, really awesome season. Put a lot of time in again, and it paid off. So yeah, thanks for listening to tonight's episode. Be sure to check out the YouTube page, CNC Productions, Instagram and Facebook, and even TikTok. We got some good followers on there as well. But yeah, head on over to the YouTube page, watch some old videos, watch some old turkey videos, whatever you want to do. Check out the Seeing Red 4 from this past season. Like I said, I posted the last one probably two weeks ago or so. So we'll catch you on the next episode, and remember, you gotta want it.